Only gonna say this, like, in regards to actual spoilers before we get to the spoiler stuff. J.K. Simmons is in this movie, and he does play J. Jonah Jameson. All I'm gonna say. Alright, yes, I've just come back from Spider-Man Far From Home, the newest in the Spider-Man movies in the MCU, and I guess, like I did with the X-Men movies, I'm gonna give my overall background with the Spider-Man movies before moving on to before talking about this one. Start off with when the film started off, 2002, I think it was. It was after 9/11, so it was like, so I want to say 2002. The first Tobey Maguire one. It's silly, it's campy, but I think that was kind of the intention, and you can definitely feel there was a lot of heart, like when Sam Raimi made it, because he is an open Spider-Man fan. That said, it does have flaws, like the dialogue is super campy. I don't think Tobey Maguire was a good Peter Parker or Spider-Man. Same with Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane. Willem Dafoe is way over the top as the Green Goblin, and it did, like, a lot of the effects look cheap. Like, a lot of the effects nowadays does look a bit cheap. But so, the first Spider-Man movie, again, it was the first actual Spider-Man movie, not counting the made-for-TV one for the TV series in the 80s, was it? So, yeah. For what it's worth, including the complicated filming history with the first Spider-Man movie, I liked it fine. Spider-Man 2 was where things got legitimately good. Like, the villain was better, Peter's dilemma was better. Still don't have a relationship between Peter and MJ, because MJ is just not a good character in these movies. The action scenes were better, the dialogue was better, it's just a better movie. And Spider-Man 3 can go fuck itself. That's all that ever needs to be said about Spider-Man 3. It can go fuck itself, especially with what it did to Venom. Then of course, break for a while, come 2012 with Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and, in the first Amazing Spider-Man movie. And I'm gonna be honest, I think that's far as the best live-action Spider-Man movie. Not saying the newer ones are bad or anything, it's just that I just think The Amazing Spider-Man is just the best live-action Spider-Man movie. Like, I had the most heart. I think the acting was top-notch. The relationship was much stronger between Peter and the love interest, in which case Gwen Stacy, because Gwen Stacy is not a hapless imbecile. And I thought the Lizard was a really good villain. So I enjoyed Amazing Spider-Man just fine. Not just fine. I think it's the best one. And then we get to Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't even remember Amazing Spider-Man 2. Okay, that's being harsh. I do remember parts of it. Again, acting still good. The interaction between the characters was still good. But the story was overly complicated, and it suffered the same fate that Spider-Man 3 suffered. Too many villains, too much hype, not enough substance. I actually think this Goblin is more ridiculous than the old one. Which, of course, brings us to the MCU. Disney, and they think half the rights to... I think they got the rights to Spider-Man, but Sony still has the rights to some of the Spider-Man characters. Hence why we also got Venom not too long ago. But Spider-Man Homecoming, I think it's fine. It's an entertaining movie. The Vulture, I think, is one of the best villains in the MCU, which admittedly isn't saying much. In fact, one of the things I've been doing lately is I've written down the MCU villains in chronological order and listing from worst to best so far. I haven't completed it yet. I still need to put down Loki, Red Skull, Ultron, Zemo, Ego, Vulture, Hela, Killmonger, Ghost, and Thanos. All the other ones have been crossed out. Heads up, the worst is Malekith. Malekith is just the worst villain in the MCU, and I'm only counting the movies, none of the TV shows, because I haven't watched them all yet. I haven't watched Agent Carter, I haven't watched Iron Fist, really. So, yeah. Also, I haven't watched the shorts. So, yeah. But back on point, I think the Vulture was like a creepy presence in the film, but he also had that humanity to him because, he was just trying to provide for his family, but killing people was just another part of the job. So, yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming, I think, was good. Venom was bad. Venom was legit bad, but I find it bad in an entertaining kind of way. It's like a dumb, mindless popcorn movie. because, once Eddie Brock actually gets Venom, it's still not good, but it's dumb fun, which I can give the movie a bit more of a pass on that. And it still did better with Venom than Spider-Man 3 did. There's no refuting that. Like, Filmmaster Adam might say it, but there's no refuting that this is still better than Spider-Man 3. Okay, which brings us to Spider-Man Far From Home. We got the trailer for this film long before Endgame came out, but even then, I knew Spider-Man was going to come back. I knew everyone was going to come back. So, general plot. It's been some time since the death of, it's been a while since Endgame, so I might as well give it away. It's been a while since Tony snapped his fingers and brought everyone, and, defeated Thanos, but as a consequence, died as well. And Spider-Man, or Peter, is still trying to defend New York in his own Spider-Man way. Until one day when he goes on this sciencey bachelor trip with his classmates, and he sees an opportunity to get friendly with MJ. Yeah, by the way, they're fully calling her MJ in this film, but otherwise she doesn't really display any of the MJ characterizations, but not on her mind. So long as it's better than the MJ we saw in the Raimi films, I'm good. And she is better than the MJ we saw in the Raimi films. Anyways, but while on this trip, he comes across Nick Fury, or rather, Nick Fury comes to him, because of a series of attacks caused by these elemental creatures called, the Elementals. And aiding Fury in trying to take them down is Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio, who Peter has to work with to try and take down. They start working together to try and take the Elementals down. All the while, Peter is trying to figure out, what does he actually want? Does he want to be the future Tony Stark? Should he give that legacy to someone else, or should he try something his own way? He kind of does all three in this movie. So that's the general plot. It's fairly straightforward. I might as well just go, instead of just going scene by scene, I'll give pros and cons. Sorry if I give out spoilers, by the way. Like, the film only just came out. I normally don't give a shit about spoilers. Even though on Twitter I did basically say, going to see the movie, review coming soon, don't spoil it. But okay, let's actually talk about it. Stuff I like. Tom Holland, he's still a really good Peter Parker and a pretty decent young Spider-Man. I always prefer the idea of Spider-Man as still being that high schooler, but actually still being that nerd and that geek, but still having that that cool smart aleck persona for throwing out pop cultural references. We kind of saw some of that with Andrew Garfield in the Amazing Spider-Man films, but we never really got that geeky side of it. The most we got is how he just knows a lot about science, but that's not really enough to qualify him as a geek, as far as I'm concerned. In this film, he's definitely a geek, because even though he has friends, he's also socially awkward. And his goal is to win the affections of MJ. Even though, wasn't Gwen the first love interest in the comics? Here or there. And I do like the banter that MJ has with not just Peter, but everyone in the group that she actually talks to, because I think MJ might be my favorite character in this movie because she's snarky, she's sardonic, she's very blunt, and I don't know, for some reason those kind of characters always speak more to me, because here's the thing. People who watch this who know me, I don't deal with bullshit. I just refuse to deal with bullshit. So when I see a character in the film that also refuses to deal with bullshit, I'm on their side, basically. The actors all do a good job. I'm still not really feeling Ned in this movie, because I didn't really care for him in the first, I didn't really care for him in Spider-Man Homecoming. I don't really care for him here. They give him this subplot where he's like a boyfriend with, he's like Betty Brant's boyfriend in this film, and it's not really much. It's more just a comedic thing off to the side, you know, while the rest of the action is taking place. And by the end of the film, they just say, "Oh, we broke up." So it's like, I mean, I don't even really get the point of why Ned was in a small relationship with Betty. Okay, another thing I liked. Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. He was awesome. I really did enjoy Mysterio in this movie because, okay, I don't know much about Mysterio from the comics. Okay, coming from someone who's not a massive comic book reader, despite what you see here, I'm not the biggest comic book reader. Like, this is poultry in comparison. Like, a lot of this stuff is just like the collections I have to get over the years. Like I got like the Blackest Night saga. I got some of the Marvel Platinum stuff. Got the 2010 Deadpool series. I don't think it's 2010, but I think 2011-ish Deadpool series. But again, not the biggest comics guy, unless it's like related to Batman or something like that. But as far as I'm aware about Mysterio, he's always been an expert level illusionist. You know, they do kind of do that with this film. But basically, yeah, this is where we're getting to spoiler territory. Basically, Quentin basically makes the claim that he's from a parallel reality. That like Thanos' snap has actually caused, or basically the 4 consecutive Infinity Snaps, or the blips as they call them, basically resulted in a hole being torn in the fabric of reality, leading to another universe where Quentin came from. And his world was actually destroyed by the elementals. It's like he's basically coming to stop the elementals from destroying this Earth, which will make him look like a hero. And he actually does get along well with Parker. He's like an affable guy. Then comes the twist. Because it's actually revealed in this movie that Quentin, well, obviously didn't come from a parallel universe. In fact, like the superpowers you see him use, are like the magic and stopping the elementals, all that were holograms. They were I think there was like the right expression is heart-like holograms, plus some extra ordnance to make the damage real. So the damage is legitimately real. And basically, he's basically being using that because he and the group of people that's helping him are beguiled Stark employees who simply never got their shine in the limelight. And they actually do show that the holographic tech that Stark used in Civil War, like at the beginning of Civil War, when he's reliving the last time he saw his dad, was actually Quentin's tech. And when Quentin wanted the actual credit for it, he got fired. And as soon as he learned Tony was dead, he basically saw this opportunity to like get the glory that he felt that he deserved. So that's actually really clever. That's actually really good. Calling back to an earlier film when Stark was alive and using it to build your new villain. Though, now that I think about it, Stark has a lot of enemies in and out of this company, didn't he? I'm trying to think. But it's like, what sells it is Gyllenhaal's performance. Gyllenhaal, I don't know the actual pronunciation, but I do like his interaction with Peter. I think he's legitimately charismatic on his own. And when he starts being the villain, he's just an enjoyable villain. He's like, okay, I don't know if he's like top 5 level, because I'm still trying to figure out my top 5 favorite MCU villains. I just know that Thanos and Loki are in them, as well as Ego and Vulture. So I just have to sort them out. It's like Mysterio was just a really entertaining villain. Like, I'm glad they kept that illusionist angle, but didn't make him like a stage magician or something like that. But they do put on this massive performance to make everything seem real, using these holographic drones that they hacked and they stole and they're using for the massive holograms. that was legitimately cool. I think that was just a fun way to integrate it. What else? What else? The fight scenes, they're fun. I like watching. I like watching Peter actually figure out how the illusions work. Like, because at first the illusions are actually so real that it is physically hurting him. Which, again, nice callback, I think, to how Mysterio uses his powers in the comics. Because I know Mysterio isn't an actual magician, is he? Like, he's a full illusion. It's like everything he does is just smoke and mirrors. There was theories going around for a while about who the elementals actually were. People were thinking, oh, it's just people that Quentin hired. Like, it could be Sandman and Hydra Man or something like that. Yeah, not at all. That's not at all. Like, all the monsters themselves are holograms. They're still the elementals, but the elementals were completely fabricated. If that makes sense. Obviously, no Stan Lee cameo in this one because poor man passed away before Justice I think not too long after Endgame wrapped filming. And I just don't know if he was able to make the cameo in this one, whether it was due to his health or due to time constraints. I don't know, but poor guy, he doesn't make the cameo. But again, who does make the cameo is okay. We actually have a few cameos because, as I said at the very beginning, J.K. Simmons is in this movie as J. Jonah Jameson, and it is beautiful. And it's like, as soon as he came on screen, everyone was like, "Oh my God, he's actually in it!" And I was the only one saying, "I called it." It's like, yeah, I told J.K. Simmons was going to be in these movies eventually. Sorry. And it was like, it felt like he never left, really. I mean, yeah, it looked like Jameson got rid of all of his hair. I prefer when it has, like, that flat cut, but it's like, it's still so good to see him again. Because, like, I know there's been a lot of good voice actors doing Jameson, but no one can ever top J.K. Simmons as the live-action J. Jonah Jameson. Although for a while people were like theorizing that J.B. Smoove was supposed to be J. Jonah Jameson, which I don't know if that would really work. J.B. Smoove doesn't really strike me as like stern, strict, fast talker. Then again, I don't know much about J.B. Smoove, so who knows. The only critique I can really think of is that it doesn't really feel like there's much at stake. Oh, I forgot to mention the other cameos. Basically, it's like after the credits have gone through. Okay, something I need to ask: why do people still leave during the end credits? But basically, after the end credits, you see Fury and Maria driving off, only for it to be revealed as Talos and his wife. It's like, that's not even explains why Fury was acting like such a dick in this movie, because I was thinking about the film, well, Fury's being a bit of a selfish dick. I mean, I know he's paranoid, but it's like, is he really going to be this much of a dick? And then again, credits come around, it's Talos, and it's like, oh, now it all makes sense, because Fury's actually on a Skrull spaceship, basically taking a vacation. It's like, that's the best way to explain it. He's just taking a vacation, which, after he's just come back, given he's just come back 5 years after being dead, yeah, I totally buy that. That actually totally makes sense. Alright, what else? Okay, back to one critique I wanted to talk about. It's like, it doesn't really feel like there's much at stake in this movie, because it's like, okay, a few people are going to die, there's going to be some collateral damage, but it's like, in comparison to something like, say, Doctor Strange, just like his first movie, you get the Dark Dimension is encroaching on the world, and Dormammu's going to completely consume it. That has high stakes. Captain America: First Avenger. You've got Red Skull, who has this massive weapon that's going to completely wipe out an entire city. That's high stakes. What else? I'm trying to think. Not to go to the Avengers, because obviously they're going to be the bigger films. Oh no, I got one. The second Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Ego has planted his seed on every world to create the expansion that will wipe out a majority of life and just make himself the biggest creature in the universe. That's high stakes. This one doesn't really feel that high. I mean, yeah, you got these fake monsters going around smashing stuff, but it's like we've seen that kind of thing in previous movies, and even though it's not real monsters, it's drones, and we've had drones plenty of times. So it's like it doesn't feel like there's much at stake in this movie when it comes to the big scope, the massive villain. And yet, Mysterio's not supposed to be the massive villain, but usually Mysterio is able to build something much grander, bigger than this. Like, I remember playing the video game Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, and it's like Mysterio got his hands on a magic tablet. He could use real magic to bend reality itself to his whim and make everything the way he wants it to be. That's high stakes for Mysterio. But who knows? Maybe it's because Mysterio is a McGowan employee in this film instead of just a regular stage magician whose skills were ignored. Yeah, it does kind of feel like there isn't much at stake in this movie, especially with like once you get rid of the drones, it's relatively easy to take down Mysterio. You just punch him in the face. That's it. It did lead to some good like illusion scenes, because we actually do see Peter go through several massive illusions, like him in different costumes, seeing what's the right word? An Iron Man corpse that's just falling apart with spiders crawling over his face. That stuff is creepy. That works legitimately well. And you know, even is it like near the end when he's using his Peter Tinkle, or let's call it what it is, Spider Sense, to try and take down the drones. That stuff is cool. But it's like, otherwise it doesn't feel like there's not much of a large stake here going on. And it doesn't feel like there's not much in terms of stakes. Like the whole school trip is just an excuse to get Peter out of the country, really. So, okay, I will admit I do like they actually got Peter out of New York this time. You're like, in his own solo adventure. I'm glad they got him out of New York, because it's like, New York's a good-looking city, but you kind of get tired of it after a while. Have Peter do more stuff. Yeah, he's the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but his villains, the way his villains are structured, they're supposed to come up as bigger than that. So, yeah, I think, can't really think of much else to say about Spider-Man Far From Home. It's a fun movie. I don't really what else to say about it. You definitely enjoy it if you like the other Spider-Man movies, and obviously this is the last film in Phase 3. Although as far as I'm concerned, it's the start of Phase 4. Endgame was the end of Phase 3, and it's like there's still stuff to be done with the Spider-Man mythos. Like, you can still bring in like Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Kraven. You can still use Spider-Man as like an example for the next team of Avengers, because half the Avengers are gone. You know, half of the original Avengers are just gone. Wait, is it even half? Yeah, no, more than half actually. I think it's literally just Hulk and Clinton now. But even in Clinton, I think he's retired now, and Hulk, I think he's just working with the actual Avengers. Oh my god, only one of the original Avengers is stuck with the team now. Huh. Anyways, it would make sense for Spider-Man to take part in like new adventures with the Avengers, especially since we are getting some more movies. Like, I think we are getting I know we're getting Winter Soldier and Falcon TV show. I know Loki's getting a TV show. I think we're getting like a Thunderbolts TV show with like some of the other MCU villains, including the stuff we get in like the Netflix series and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But it's like, I'm not sure how well it's going to work out. Like, I don't get why Abomination is going to be like in the show. Like, was he ever one of the Thunderbolts? I know Bullseye was one of the Thunderbolts. But it's like, was Abomination really part of the Thunderbolts? I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I enjoyed Spider-Man Far From Home. That's the best of it. I enjoyed it. It was a fun time, and I almost cried like a little bitch when I saw J.K. Simmons. It was so good to see him again. So, yeah, that's just my overall thoughts on Spider-Man Far From Home. If you like what you saw here, click that like button, leave a comment, please subscribe, and click that notification bell if you want to see more. I'm Callum Lewis, the Media Hood, signing off.